Hey everybody, today we're going to go through a variety of different accessories for the Osmo Pocket 3. I've had the Osmo Pocket 3 for a couple months now, and I find that I've been using it more and more for either BTS, direct filming, motion lapses, and pretty much everything else that this Osmo Pocket has to offer. It's a really handy tool if you haven't looked at one yet, and we're going to get into that in a different video. Today we're just going to cover different accessories, what I've been using, some that I've liked, and some that I can recommend for you.
Activate.
I've been testing out a variety of different accessories that were sent to me. And all of these products were sent to me for testing purposes to find some of the best accessories that I thought were out there. So although these accessories were sent to me, I'm only highlighting the ones that I thought were actually useful and can recommend to you. We're going to start off with one of my favorite accessories. Neewer sent over one of these cage units, which allows us to mount the camera really easily to something like your Canon R5. You may notice that I have a cage with the DJI Osmo mounted to my Canon R5 Mark II. This cage from Neewer allows us to easily attach to the typical GoPro mounts. It came with this hot shoe mount, which I really love to attach to the top of the camera. The camera is mounted to the hot shoe right now on my R5 Mark II, and I can shoot in either vertical or horizontal format. It's nice and balanced and gets a really cool POV. I can shoot video while I shoot photos on the camera. I was actually shooting at a couple corporate events and some media teams were there. A lot of people took note of how I had this set up on my R5 Mark II, and a lot of people took photos because they thought this was a really cool setup. So that obviously tells me that this is interesting and useful. The main thought process is that it allows you to have a hands-free setup from the Osmo Pocket, allow it to film while you're going shooting photos on your actual camera, so you can shoot a little bit of a videographer and photographer setup all at once. You can tilt this if you need to, as well as mount it on the other side, as it has the mounting points on both ends. There's a variety of 1/4 screw ports all over this, so you can attach different accessories, as well as the ability to attach different lights or things that use hot shoe, as the cage has a hot shoe attachment point right on the side. It's really easy to take your Osmo on and off, and locks on there securely. Has some padding on the inside so you're not scratching your Osmo. And pretty much I've found that this accessory is my favorite, and I've used it the most out of all the tools here. If you've never tried one before, you should look at a Magic Arm. Small Rig, amongst other companies, makes a large variety of different sizes of these Magic Arms, which allow you to securely mount different things like accessories or cameras from one point to another. I picked one up that has a 1/4 screw port on both sides, which allows me to attach to something like this clamp, which is really cool. I've attached this to chairs, lamp posts, pretty much anything you can think of that you can clamp to, as well as used it to attach to my Small Rig cage on my Canon R5 to get a unique perspective, perhaps some BTS footage or top-down shots while I'm shooting on the R5. You can also use it to attach to something like this. You may have a 1/4 screw port also on your tripod. For example, this Neewer tripod that I have has a screw port there, which allows us to easily use it as a top-down arm to get product shots, as you can see here. If you want something smaller, you can get a tinier, I'm not sure if these are still called Magic Arms, but basically a arm attachment, so you can use a different 1/4 screw port and have just a short arm with your camera. I have traditionally used my Insta360 camera with one of these, attached it to my camera just to have a short little POV arm with the camera. But now that the Osmo Pocket with this hot shoe mount is in my possession, if I'm going to be mounting it to the camera, I typically like using this mount over something else, unless I want it further away from me, in which case I'll use this arm and point the camera to me to get more of a POV of my face. Next up, if you're trying to get cinematic footage, you need to learn to control your shutter speed. If your frame rate is something like 30 frames per second, you need a shutter speed of 1/60th of a second. If it's at 24 frames, it needs to be at 1/50th, and so on. This allows us to get a great 180 rule of cinematography where it gets a perfect motion blur for your frame rate. Once you have your pro mode set and the right frame rate as well as shutter speed, You'll probably need to use something like these ND filters from Tiffin to control the amount of light hitting the sensor. So in very bright conditions, these ND filters will help you control the light so your footage isn't blown out, you can have cinematic frame rate, and your image is exposed correctly. These filters just magnetically attach to the front of the Osmo. The Osmo Pocket's magnetic ability allows us to use a couple different accessories right on the front. Outside of ND filters, you can attach these lenses to the front of your Osmo Pocket. These specific ones are made by K&F. There's a variety of different brands that make them. I've typically liked the K&F for its affordability as well as just the general quality for price point for things like this. These accessories come in a variety of different forms. I currently have a macro 20 to 40 millimeter as well as a wide angle lens. You may have a wide angle lens if you've bought the creator kit of the Osmo Pocket. I highly recommend getting one of these wide angle lenses as that extra focal length really allows you to get a little extra footage. If you're looking for a more cinematic look to things, you can get something like an anamorphic lens. This K&F anamorphic lens is a 1.2. This 1.2 anamorphic lens will extend out the width of your footage to get more of a widescreen look. When you're filming an anamorphic, it may look squished when you're actually filming, but it just needs to be stretched in post-production, whether that's a Adobe Premiere or whatever tool you use. The footage just needs to be stretched in the corresponding form factor. In this case, 1.2 means I need to do 120% stretch of my footage. Then we get that extra long cinematic look. The DJI base mount is used to attach a tripod leg to your camera as well as a different way to charge your Osmo. K&F has come with a smaller form factor version that is actually made of metal, so it seems a little more durable, has a slender look, and has the ability to attach either a leg or a GoPro mount type device to the bottom. This allows us to film using suction cups, car accessories, or any other GoPro style mount that you may have, for example, a shoulder mount. So you get a lot of different uses out of your base mount rather than the traditional one that's provided by DJI that typically doesn't allow you to do much else. Next up is a power bank. Now I really think it's important to get a power bank to use with some of your tools like this. The Osmo Pocket can run out of juice pretty quickly if you're using it quite a bit. This is a P73 Inui power bank. It has 10,000 milliamps, so it can charge a lot of different devices as well as your phone through the day. You can use MagSafe and the wireless charge to charge your iPhone, as well as the 2 USB ports allows you to charge a device like your Osmo Pocket. It also has a kickstand. The kickstand on this power bank also lets your iPhone double as a cool kickstand monitor to use in conjunction with your Osmo. If you're prone to forgetting USB cables, the wrist strap actually doubles as a USB cable, which is a really cool design here, so you don't have to remember bringing your USB cables with you, as it's always on your power bank. Last but not least is this newer shock absorber. Now, I really wanted to get something to attach to my car when we're doing roller shots, and this arm seems to be the perfect tool. This allows you to attach a variety of different action cameras, such as the GoPro, a DJI Action, or the Osmo Pocket. I've actually seen someone using this arm at Canada's Wonderland in Toronto while they were doing some walking shots, as although they have 3-axis stabilization on the Osmo Pockets, usually when you're doing a walking motion, it doesn't perfectly stabilize for vertical motion. Although it does a pretty good job, this arm can either use that GoPro style mount or the 1/4 screw to attach whatever camera you have, and has a NATO rail for you to attach to either some sort of NATO rail accessory, or in which case here, this comes with a really cool suction cup. It's very easy to install on any flat surface that is good for suction and allows us to keep this balanced nicely. So you can attach this to something like your car to get roller shots and get really stable footage while you're doing it. The arm has the ability to articulate in a variety of different ways in case you want to reposition it. There's a huge shock absorber on the arm to make sure that this thing is keeping footage stable. And there you have it. These are the accessories that I've found the most useful. There's a variety of different tools that are going to fit different scenarios, so hopefully in here you found something that's useful for you. I'll put links down below to all the different accessories that I have here today. If you think you might pick one of these up, consider using one of the links below as it really helps the channel. Other than that, if you have any questions, let me know down in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Have a good one.